Saydnaya. The name itself sends shivers down the spines of those familiar with its dark history. Located in Syria, this prison complex stands as a chilling reminder of the capacity for human cruelty. It is a place where hope goes to die, where the very worst of humanity was given free rein. For years, the Assad regime used Saydnaya to silence dissent, to punish opposition, and to instill terror in the hearts of the Syrian people. The prison became synonymous with torture, disappearances, and extrajudicial killings. Thousands of innocent souls were swallowed by its walls, never to be seen again. Their stories, for a long time, remained buried under a veil of secrecy and fear. But the cries of the oppressed cannot be silenced forever. Through the brave testimonies of survivors and the tireless work of human rights organizations, the horrors of Saydnaya were slowly revealed to the world. This essay delves into the depths of this infamous prison, examining its history, the atrocities committed within its walls, and the global response to the crimes against humanity that took place there. To understand the darkness that descended upon Saydnaya, one must delve into its history. Originally built in the 1980s under Hafez al-Assad, Bashar's father, the prison initially housed common criminals and a small number of political detainees. However, the seeds of brutality were sown early on. Hafez al-Assad, known for his iron-fisted rule, instilled a culture of fear and repression within the Syrian security apparatus. This culture permeated Saydnaya, setting the stage for the horrors that would unfold under his son's reign. When Bashar al-Assad inherited the presidency in 2000, many hoped for a more liberal and open Syria. These hopes were quickly dashed. The younger Assad, while presenting a more modern facade, proved to be no different from his father when it came to dealing with dissent. In the wake of the Arab Spring and the Syrian uprising that began in 2011, Saydnaya underwent a chilling transformation. What was once a conventional prison became a nightmarish labyrinth of torture chambers and mass graves. Bashar al-Assad, determined to crush the opposition by any means necessary, unleashed the full force of the Syrian security forces on anyone perceived as a threat to his regime. The conditions inside Saydnaya were nothing short of horrific. Former detainees who managed to survive the ordeal have described a living hell within the prison walls. Overcrowding was rampant, with dozens of prisoners crammed into cells designed for a fraction of that number. Basic sanitation was non-existent, leading to the spread of diseases. Food and water were scarce, and prisoners were systematically starved and deprived of sleep as a form of torture. But the physical deprivation was only one aspect of the suffering inflicted upon detainees. Torture was routine and methodical. Prison guards, indoctrinated with the regime's propaganda and operating with complete impunity, subjected prisoners to unimaginable cruelty. Beatings with fists, sticks, and metal cables were commonplace. Electric shocks, often administered to sensitive parts of the body, were a favorite method of inflicting pain. Prisoners were also hung from the ceiling for hours on end, their joints dislocating under their own weight. While torture was used to punish and extract confessions, Saydnaya was also the site of systematic mass killings. Thousands of detainees were extrajudicially executed within the prison walls. These executions were often carried out in the dead of night, shrouded in secrecy. Prisoners were blindfolded, driven to a basement area, and hanged in groups. Their bodies were then disposed of in mass graves, their families left to wonder about their fate. The Syrian regime went to great lengths to cover up these crimes. The families of the disappeared were often told that their loved ones had been transferred to other prisons or had died of natural causes. The true extent of the killings only came to light through the testimonies of survivors and the painstaking work of human rights investigators. These investigations revealed a systematic and orchestrated campaign of extermination, designed to silence dissent and instill fear in the hearts of the Syrian population. Section 5. Voices from the Abyss, Survivor Testimonies. The stories of Saydnaya survivors are harrowing testaments to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable cruelty.
These survivors, who have endured unimaginable horrors, have shown incredible courage in coming forward to share their stories.
Their testimonies provide a chilling glimpse into the depths of depravity that unfolded within the prison walls.
One survivor, who wishes to remain anonymous, described the moment he was brought to Saydnaya.
We were blindfolded, our hands tied behind our backs. The guards beat us with sticks and rifles. They called us animals, terrorists. They said we would never see the light of day again.
Another survivor, a young woman who was arrested for participating in peaceful protests, spoke of the constant fear that permeated the prison.
Every night, we would hear the sounds of beatings, screams. We knew that at any moment, they could come for us.
These testimonies, while difficult to hear, are essential in understanding the human cost of the atrocities committed at Saydnaya. They give a voice to the voiceless and serve as a powerful reminder of the need for justice and accountability. Section 6. Echoes of Atrocities, Uncovering the Truth. The Syrian regime went to great lengths to keep the horrors of Saydnaya hidden from the outside world. Access to the prison was heavily restricted, and any information that did manage to seep out was quickly suppressed. However, the truth has a way of emerging, no matter how deeply it is buried. Human rights organizations, journalists, and courageous individuals within Syria itself risked their lives to expose the atrocities taking place within Saydnaya's walls. Through painstaking investigations, satellite imagery analysis, and interviews with survivors, a clearer picture of the prison's gruesome reality began to emerge. Amnesty International, in its groundbreaking 2017 report, Human Slaughterhouse Mass Hangings and Extermination at Saydnaya Prison, provided the most comprehensive account yet of the systematic killings and torture taking place within the prison. The report sent shockwaves around the world, prompting widespread condemnation and calls for action. Section 7. A World's Outrage, The International Response. The revelations about Saydnaya sparked international outrage and condemnation. Governments, human rights organizations, and individuals around the world expressed their horror at the scale and brutality of the crimes being committed. The United Nations condemned the Syrian government for its gross violations of human rights and called for an immediate end to the atrocities. Several countries imposed sanctions on the Syrian regime in response to the Saydnaya revelations. These sanctions targeted individuals and entities believed to be involved in the torture and killings, as well as key sectors of the Syrian economy. While the sanctions have had a limited impact on the Assad regime's behavior, they serve as a tangible expression of the international community's condemnation. The International Criminal Court, while unable to prosecute Syrian officials due to Syria not being a party to the Rome Statute, has conducted preliminary examinations into war crimes and crimes against humanity committed in Syria. While the ICC's jurisdiction remains limited, its investigations serve as a reminder that those responsible for the atrocities will be held accountable. Section 8. The Pursuit of Justice, Accountability, and the Future. The pursuit of justice for the victims of Saydnaya is an ongoing process. The Syrian regime, despite mounting evidence and international pressure, continues to deny any wrongdoing and has shown no willingness to cooperate with international investigations. However, the fight for justice does not end with the Assad regime's intransigence.
Human rights lawyers and organizations are exploring all avenues to hold perpetrators accountable, including through universal jurisdiction, which allows national courts to prosecute individuals for grave crimes under international law, regardless of where the crimes were committed.
Furthermore, the documentation and preservation of evidence are crucial for future prosecutions.
Efforts are underway to collect and preserve testimonies from survivors, gather photographic and video evidence, and secure physical evidence from the prison itself.
Section 9. Remembering Saydnaya Never Again. Saydnaya stands as a stark reminder of the human capacity for evil and the devastating consequences of unchecked power. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, but also to its fragility in the face of unimaginable cruelty. As we move forward, it is imperative that we remember the victims of Saydnaya and honor their memory by fighting for justice and accountability. We must ensure that such atrocities are never repeated, not in Syria, not anywhere in the world. The international community must remain steadfast in its pursuit of justice for the victims and hold those responsible for the atrocities accountable. We must also work to prevent future atrocities by promoting respect for human rights, strengthening international mechanisms for accountability, and fostering a culture of peace and justice. The story of Saydnaya is a difficult one to tell, but it is a story that must be told. It is a story that reminds us of the importance of vigilance, of speaking truth to power, and of never forgetting the victims of human cruelty. May the memory of those who suffered and perished within Saydnaya's walls serve as a beacon, guiding us towards a future where such horrors are relegated to the history books, never to be repeated.